Hello, it's Brandon Lewis, Director of the Marketing Department at the Academy for Professional Painting Contractors. And let's talk about now the Core 5 systems and month 3. What you're really going to be learning with us as you move into month 3, what tools and done-for-you systems we're going to provide to solve these big problems. One of the biggest problems in painting is this whole feast and famine cycle. This really busy one week, really dead the next week, phones ringing off the hook, no phones ringing at all. There's just this huge problem with consistency in painting. So let me draw for you back here kind of what our season looks like from what I call an organic spending standpoint, meaning how much in the way of painting services are people purchasing and when are they purchasing them. Now you will instinctively know this, but you've perhaps never seen it graphically displayed. And so if this is our year, right, I'm going to start over here with January, really not even January and February. I'm going to start over here with kind of January, February on this end. We're going to look at July in the middle, and then we're going to put November over here, and then really December. And what you'll find when you look at the national numbers on paint volume being sold, which is a leading indicator of when the work is sold, because usually the paint is sold and then the work of application is there, you're going to find that our nadir, the lowest time, of course, is in January and February. And you're going to find that organic demand, what people are spending, peaks in July. It starts dropping down toward November, and then after November it kind of takes a deeper dive and it goes towards January and February. So we kind of have this bell curve, and it really takes off in the spring, as you know, in your area, usually about the time the tulips come up out of the ground. Well, see, what I find so often, and remember going back to what we've talked about before, is that we're in a list-driven business. There are really 4 lists that matter, and every dime you've ever received in this painting business comes from 4 lists. Small, it's the power of small numbers. You don't have to talk to everybody to be rich in painting. You really just need 4 lists. List number 1 is past customers. List number 2 is unconverted leads. List number 3 are referral sources. And list number 5 is commercial repaints. So there are 4 lists, 4 people that are really constantly spending money on painting services. Past customers, unconverted leads, referral sources, and commercial repaints. So it's about list management, managing these lists. Well, what I discover most of the time with all the painting contractors that I work with is that this is how much money is being spent in their list. Let's say it peaks out here at $125,000 in the month of July. Okay, let's say that you've got a $1,000 list. That means $1 million is being spent, and this represents $1 million being spent in these lists that you've touched before. What I find most of the time is that people's sales look something like this, meaning that here's what's being spent in the lists, and here's what's actually being captured by the painting contractor from a repeat standpoint, not counting referrals necessarily yet. And so this money here, see this arrow? This money between these 2 places here is the easiest, most low-cost money you can pick up. Remember back in video 1 when we talked about organic spending and cost of lead being at least, at bare minimum, 5 times less with a repeat customer than a cold, crappy lead. Okay? So this is the big deal here. Now, in order to get these lists, we're going to do what we call campaigns to these different lists at different times of the year. Let's just take the graphically speaking repeat customers. We're going to go after them in the spring because we want to catch this tide, right? Catch this tide. We want to capture them again at the height of the painting season, and this means you have to have a good, strong system for recruitment so you can handle the volume. We teach our members how to do that. And then we're going to catch them again here leading into November because we don't want to be trying to capture organic demand. Now, here's the big mistake most people make in painting, and it's ridiculous. They try all their marketing when? Here and here, when they have no work. And they wonder why their cost of lead is so high. It's because organic demand is so low. This is not when you spend your biggest dollars in this business. It makes no sense. And that's why our marketing mastery calendar is so important. And we'll talk to you about that later. So we're going to scribble through this, because we're not going to do that, because that's foolish to do the big reactivation campaigns. But in between these times, you still have to communicate with people. And so we do that where these little V's are with our done-for-you at-home monthly newsletter. It is both mailed and emailed. It costs very little money. Basically, your past customers, as I mentioned before, alone are worth about $1,000 a year. It only takes about $12 a year or less to stay in constant communication with them, both in the mail and with an at-home monthly newsletter in a monthly basis. That means that you've got, $988 left to get all your profits out of, which at 30% gross profit leaves a lot of room. That's why marketing to past customers is so easy. So what happens is, when you start doing all of this here, well, let me back up, okay, with home services in general. I want you to think about this concept, and I want you to really know that it's true. In home services, there are two ways to build consistency in revenue streams. Two ways to build consistency. One way is with contracts, okay? Contracts. Think about it. Man in a van business. Who builds consistency in their business with contracts? Pest control people, house cleaning people, pool cleaning people, landscapers, and a host of other people who come out on a regular recurring basis. Well, their systems, or rather their services, and the needs of the customers are more uniform. So a contract works. Contracts typically don't work for us because the painting's not ongoing and recurring, although in some commercial repaint applications and with some things like deck staining, you can create a contracted program. However, there's the second way to build in stability and predictability in your painting business, and that's communication. There's only one of two ways to build in stability. We've either got to do it by contract or communication. And so we build this in our program through communication. Again, people start forgetting you immediately. You think that buddy, when you painted their house, that they sit around at the dinner table and they talk about you every night. They do not. To put it another way, the horsefly feels like he's doing a lot, but the horse doesn't even notice him in most of the time. So you are the horsefly, and to get constant, steady work, you have to be in these four lists: past customers, unconverted leads, referral sources, and commercial repaints. And what this does is your referrals, this word-of-mouth marketing, goes up, and it gets steady. Word-of-mouth marketing is the best marketing you can do, but it's very unstable. It's very unpredictable. Yet when you use communication to constantly be in touch with your customers, referrals go up and they level out. I want you to think about this with me. When do you get the most referrals? It's usually right when you're doing the work, or immediately after doing work is when you get referrals. Why? Because your customers start forgetting you. Well, guess what? If you do not give them an opportunity to forget you, if you don't give past customers or that commercial guy who gives you $30,000, $40,000 a year, if he's constantly getting a newsletter every month, if your referral sources from your other B2B contacts, such as plumbers, roofers, gutter installers, if they're continually and constantly being contacted, even when you should be contacting them yourself personally, but you get lazy, all you've got to do is use this one tool once a month, and all this gets evened out, you see. And unconverted leads even. I can't tell you how often, not all of our members put these on their list, except they may put them on reactivations, but not necessarily the intermittent communication. But typically what we discover is the unconverted leads pay for the whole program, and everything you get from past customers, referral sources, and commercial repaints are just gravy. So you've got to think about all this stuff, and that's how you create consistency in your business. One other thing to think about is simply this. Almost everything in your painting business, good that's ever happened to you, has been a result of communication. Think about it. The big job you got that was so profitable, somebody probably told him about you, or you contacted him, or something happened. When you ended up having a really good year, it's because maybe you had a great trade show, or the people down at the store, and that's another referral source. Your store managers decided that they send you work. So communication, when you put lots of inputs in, lots of outputs come in. So you can't have outputs, which is money, leads, estimates, closed projects, without steady inputs, which is communication. So if you're upset because your business is all wonky, if you've got $200,000, $300,000, $100,000, $50,000 swings and you're not continually and steadily growing, it's because of two reasons. You're losing more customers than you're keeping, mathematically going back to video 1, and secondly is that you are not having a steady stream of outputs. So you can't get you're not doing a steady stream of inputs, so you don't have a steady stream of outputs. Does this make sense? Is this all logical and straightforward? I hope it is. And so one thing I do want to mention, one video back we talked about the sales process. You can have the best sales process in the world, but if you don't do video 1 and video 2, if you don't have customer reactivation, and if you don't have this retention process, you're still going to have this. Okay, sales is just the door through which all leads pass. This is what keeps all the referrals and all the repeat work so steady. So, now that you've seen the third part, I'd really like to encourage you, if all of this stuff is sounding straightforward and normal to you, which it should, because it's worked so well in my business when I built my $1 million business quickly, and for all of our members, as you can see with the testimonial videos and everything you're being sent and all the audio, why don't you just go ahead right now and just click the button below, schedule your time with me, and let's talk about your painting business and how I can help you. So before your enrollment deadline expires, I hope to talk to you very, very soon.